For decades, supply chain management treated sustainability as a peripheral concern, a public relations exercise, or a compliance checkbox handled by a separate corporate social responsibility department. That model is obsolete. Production systems and logistics activities directly dictate a company's resource consumption, emissions, and labor conditions. Because of this, managing the interconnected network of global operations has become a core strategic priority. This list outlines the primary aims of sustainable management. The goal is to reduce environmental and social impact while securing long-term business viability. Notice how regulatory compliance and risk management are positioned directly alongside brand reputation. This approach is formally defined as the management of environmental, social, and economic impacts across the entire supply chain. That scope is comprehensive. It covers the complete operational life cycle, beginning with raw material sourcing, moving through production and distribution, and extending all the way through product use to end-of-life disposal. Treating life cycle tracking as a strategic capability builds the economic resilience necessary for modern value creation. To see how this theory maps to global operations, we can examine the specific practices of market leaders. Looking at this breakdown, Patagonia centers operations on ethical labor and recycled materials. Unilever approaches sustainability by working with farmers and reducing logistics emissions. Apple enforces strict standards while increasing recycled hardware components. Finally, IKEA secures sustainable wood and invests in renewable energy. These strategies are successful because they do not prioritize one element over another. They balance profit, planet, and people simultaneously across all supply chain activities. That specific balance is formalized in a structure known as the triple bottom line. A sustainable supply chain integrates three intersecting dimensions. The first is the planet, or the environmental focus. This measures ecological impact through metrics like carbon emissions, energy efficiency, and waste reduction. This section details the second dimension, people. The social focus evaluates human and societal impact. This means auditing supply networks for labor rights, worker safety, fair wages, and overall community impact. Finally, we have profit, or the economic dimension. This ensures long-term financial viability through cost efficiency, continuous risk management, and responsible growth. To function under this framework, a supply chain must develop specific structural characteristics, requiring deep transparency across suppliers, strict material traceability, and robust environmental metrics. Managing these characteristics relies on specialized core concepts, primarily life cycle assessment, which measures the total impact of a product from creation to disposal, and green logistics to optimize transportation. The triple bottom line demands a departure from optimizing solely for short-term savings. The objective shifts entirely to building holistic, long-term value across all dimensions. Translating that theoretical framework into daily operations requires adherence to four guiding principles. The first two are life cycle thinking and a systems perspective. You have to account for environmental impact from raw material extraction all the way to final disposal. Sustainability cannot be isolated. It must be addressed across the entire network. The remaining principles are collaboration and continuous improvement. A company cannot achieve sustainability alone. It requires active cooperation with partners, driven by constant innovation. Here we see these principles applied. Sustainable sourcing secures ethical materials through rigorous audits. Green manufacturing implements renewable energy to reduce waste. Sustainable logistics optimizes routes to lower emissions, while circular supply chains integrate recycling and remanufacturing into the standard operational flow. Collectively, these applications force a transition away from the traditional linear model of take, make, and waste, replacing it with a regenerative circular system. Executing this transition is difficult. Organizations face higher short-term costs, data collection hurdles, and complex global supplier networks that obscure daily operations. To counter obstacles, major trends focus on digital traceability via blockchain and building carbon-neutral supply chains. Despite advances, misconceptions persist. A primary myth is that sustainability only means environmental protection. In reality, social and economic performance hold equal weight. Another common myth is that sustainability inherently damages profitability. The data shows the opposite. Responsible supply chains often operate with greater efficiency, face fewer regulatory risks, and demonstrate higher resilience during market shocks. The greatest barrier to these benefits is not a lack of technology, but a lack of network visibility. a gap modern traceability trends are closing. Because this field relies on precise data, it requires precise terminology. This table provides the necessary distinctions. A green supply chain focuses predominantly on environmental impact. A sustainable supply chain is the complete integration of environmental, social, and economic factors. And a circular supply chain is specifically focused on the mechanics of reuse, recycling, and regeneration. When analyzing your own organization, consider which phase of the supply chain generates the largest sustainability footprint: sourcing, manufacturing, or logistics? And when selecting new vendors, how exactly will you quantify the balance between short-term cost efficiency and long-term sustainability? Sustainability is an operational imperative. It requires managing the triple bottom line across the complete life cycle of every product you create. Sustainability acts as the primary metric for long-term economic performance in modern supply chain management. Mastering these interconnected frameworks provides the foundation for designing and leading the next generation of global operations.